Welcome to CFISD's Teacher of the Year celebration. Tonight, you will see the hearts of our teachers, support staff, and paraprofessionals on the big screen as they share their passion to reach all students in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. This will be a night to remember for the ages. You'll laugh.
You take a little survey, what's your hobby? I don't have a hobby. I love to work.
You'll cry.
I have kids who have been put down.
You'll say, aw.
Like to believe that they call me mom because maybe there's little parts of their day where they see someone who loves them.
But most of all, you'll know why these educators are the best of the best in CFISD. And now, please put your hands together for CFISD's Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Henry.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. With that intro, it's kind of like being at the Academy Awards, isn't it? Kind of gives you that feeling. But I tell you what really warms my heart. We're honoring the real heroes of this country, our teachers. And look at the crowd out there. We've got a full house. Teresa, next year, we may have to add more chairs in here. And wouldn't that be great to be bringing chairs in? So thank you all for being here this evening. To honor these wonderful educators here in Cy-Fair ISD. Joining us this evening, we have four of our Board of Trustee members, and I'd like to introduce them. We have our Board President, Dr. John Ogletree. We have Board Member, Mr. Don Ryan. Board Member, Mr. Tom Jackson. And Board Member, Ms. Darcy Mangoya. The wonderful thing about Cy-Fair ISD and the reason I think that we're so successful is we always have great citizen volunteers that are on our Board of Trustees. And at any event like this, you'll see somewhere between 4 and 7 of them at every event. And you can imagine in an organization this large, we have a lot of events. But this is one of my favorites. Because we do honor the teachers and the people that are having the greatest and most immediate impact on the students here in Cy-Fair ISD, which is the purpose of our district. But before we get to honoring them this evening, and you're going to see some wonderful videos, and you're going to learn a lot more about each of these honorees this evening, I'd like for the people that are behind our great teachers that help support them on a daily basis, I would like for the principals in Cy-Fair ISD to stand up so that we can acknowledge you. Thank you all for being out here this evening. And without further ado, we will get on with the show. Thank you.
Of the year, take one.
Adriana Saucedo, Adam Elementary.
Lache Fleming, Andre Elementary.
Rhonda Neilson, Alt Elementary.
Cynthia Chavez, Bain Elementary.
Amber Denton, Bang Elementary.
Kristen Smith, Berks Elementary.
Laura Wajinski, Black Elementary.
Christina Alonso, Copeland Elementary.
Terry Richter, Danish Elementary.
Susan Pittman, Duryea Elementary.
Ann Brown, Emory Elementary.
Michelle Ray, Emmett Elementary.
Charla Carey, Farney Elementary.
Elaine Winger, Feast Elementary.
Kirsten Seacrest, Franco Elementary.
Michelle Craig, Frazier Elementary.
Ashley Gallardo, Gleason Elementary.
Taylor Kennedy, Haregrove Elementary.
Vicky McCoy, Hamilton Elementary.
Christine Barry, Hancock Elementary.
Wendy Garza, Hemingway Elementary School.
Melissa Parker from Holbrook Elementary.
Monica Roebuck, Holmesley Elementary.
Michelle Graham, Hoover Elementary.
Joe Luna, Horn Elementary.
Kim Harding, Joel Elementary.
Brenda Callas, Keith Elementary.
Ellen Jablonski, Kirk Elementary.
Renee Young, Lampkin Elementary.
Carlos Gonzalez, Lee Elementary.
Jesus Esparza, Leader Elementary.
Pam Taylor, Lowry Elementary.
Tonya McQueen, Matsky Elementary.
Jessica Franco, McPhee Elementary.
Alma Cardoso, Metcalf Elementary.
Crystal Phelps, Millsap Elementary.
Carrie Wheedle, Moore Elementary.
Alison Habita, Owens Elementary.
Noel Sharon, and I teach at Pope Elementary.
Catherine Grenwelge, Post Elementary.
Terry Lynn, Postma Elementary.
Chantal Read, Read Elementary.
Edith Patel, Brunel Elementary.
Dulce Gonzalez, M. Robinson Elementary.
Jeanne Dekker, A. Robinson Elementary.
Lisa Conser from Sampson Elementary.
Maria Andrea Cobo, Sheridan Elementary.
Diane Prestridge from Swinky Elementary.
Erlinda Kennedy, Tips Elementary.
Natalia Garcia, Walker Elementary.
Mary Kate Moore, Warner Elementary.
Peggy Holmes, Wells Elementary.
Smith McBride, Wilburn Elementary.
Christy Capers, Wilson Elementary. Summer Camp, Woodard Elementary.
Debbie San Lucia, Yeager Elementary.
Teacher of the Year, take one.
Please welcome CFISD's Chief of Staff, Mrs. Teresa Pohl.
Good evening. Our first recipient tonight, or honoree I should say, is Miss Vicky McCoy from Hamilton Middle School, Hamilton Elementary. Sorry, we just finished that.
I had an elementary PE teacher, Coach Cannon, who loved PE. We would play Star Wars, he would turn the lights out, he would play the Star Wars music. I just remember the feeling. I couldn't wait to go, and when it was over, it was like, that was so fun. And then I think in middle school and high school, I saw different kind of coaches that were a little more serious and less fun. So we still play this super fun game where they throw balls all across the gym. It's loud, we turn the lights out, we turn the music on, and they love it. I had a student say, "You're always in a good mood." And I was like, oh, that makes me feel so good. And I made him say it again, like I got my camera out, like, say that again. And he said, Miss McCoy's always in a good mood. I hope when they're my age, they have memories of enjoying coming to PE and having fun. And I hope they still say, Miss McCoy was always in a good mood, most days.
From Lampkin Elementary, Renee Young.
I have a grandmother who actually was an Italian immigrant and never learned to read or write. I remember as a kid going with her to, like, say, the grocery store, and we had to rely on, like, the kindness of strangers for them to read the canned goods to her or to help her fill out a check. She went on to raise my dad, who actually was quite a handful, but he failed first grade because he didn't speak English. I always feel like there's that certain population of kids that gets left behind in a regular classroom, and so I wanted to really zone in on those kids, and so that's why I chose to get some extra training in that area, and so that I could really help those that are struggling. My dad ended up being super successful, a valedictorian of his class, full ride to Rice University, and owner of a small business. So he was the generation after her that was able to take advantage of the educational system and become a success from it. You know, you miss out on a lot of life if you're not literate. Just think of how much richer, you know, your world could be if you were proficient at reading and writing.
Representing Duryea Elementary, Susan Pittman.
5th grade, Mr. Ingebrigtsen. He was a fun teacher. He would draw okay, I'm gonna give away my age, Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck on our hands at the end of the day. He would play chess with us, and we would learn math through the chess. We would learn everything at the end of the day with him, and he was just an inspiration. I can't even begin to be as good a teacher as he was. These days, it's technology. Anything technology. I can put together a flip grid, I can put together a Kahoot that gets them involved in learning, gets them in front of the camera, and makes them comfortable explaining what they know about math. It's interactive. It's not just a worksheet thrown in front of them. It's something for them to do and for me to give them to do where they're comfortable in expressing themselves. It's fun. It's something that you don't think is math, but it is math. I'm honored to be more and more every day like my favorite teacher was.
From Haregrove Elementary, Taylor Kennedy.
We are mic'd now with our light speed system, so I like to be a little goofy. So we're standing out in the hallway, they're walking in. My favorite day is High Five Friday, So we have these big foam hands with hair grove written across, and we're just sticking our hands out in the hallway. Even if they're not our students, we're high-fiving them. If I have the microphone, the kids know if it's on, she's probably gonna be singing or making up a song or doing something weird. We have kind of our strategy songs. When they're adding or subtracting decimals, we always say, line up the decimals, fill in the gaps. After every whole number, there's a decimal. After every whole number, there's a decimal. After every whole number, after every whole number, after every whole number, there's a, and we'll say decimal. In the moment, it keeps them engaged, but going forward, it's cute, it's funny. When they're testing or they're doing work by themselves, I can just see them do this. And we have this little saying, it might be too early for weird if it's not 8:30, but it's gonna be okay. So they like that energy.
Next, we have Christina Alonso representing Copeland Elementary.
I was an average student. I loved to read, wasn't great at math, but I think that's kind of what makes me a good teacher because it wasn't easy for me the whole time. And so as a teacher, I break stuff down into itty-bitty parts and make it manageable because when somebody gives it to you in big chunks, you just can't learn that well, and that's how I grew up, not being able to grasp big chunks of material. So now I make sure I keep it in manageable chunks so my kids can learn each and every part. I think I kind of went to school just feeling like I was blended in with the pack, and I don't want my kids to think that they blend in with the pack, so I go out of my way to make sure that they don't blend, that they know I know them, that they aren't just the average student who sits in the middle of the classroom and like nobody pays attention to them. So I try really hard just to make sure that they know that they're not in the corner and I'll just forget about them because I know they'll do fine. That's kind of how I felt when I was a kid, and I don't want to do that to kids.
From Black Elementary, Laura Wojcinski.
How you treat one another and how you make a person feel, that's what they remember. Something that is very important to me, that we treat each other like a family, that we're kind to one another. They're sweet to each other. If someone falls or something spills, they will, help each other out. We are a family. We support each other. When someone's having a bad day, we bring someone up. When there's a celebration, we celebrate that. I have some students who came to kindergarten and they didn't know how to write their name or their letters or their sounds. And when they know 20 sight words, it's a big deal for them, and we celebrate that. We cheer, and the kids give them high fives and hug them. And I hope that they remember that I love them.
Our next honoree, Michelle Craig, Frazier Elementary.
My first year in kindergarten was an experimental year, to say the least. I had one of those epic first days where you feel like no one's paying attention, and if you just get them alive and fed, then you've accomplished a lot. I've had a child who's had a nosebleed 4 times in one day, blood everywhere. I've had kids vomit. I've had kids poop on my rug. It's been chaos at times, but those are the days you remember and get to tell when you're interviewed for Teacher of the Year. So yes, I've had some students call me Mom. I've had some students call me Dad, which I'm like, sounds kind of offensive, but you're oftentimes a counselor, you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a therapist. I mean, you're more than just their teacher. I do believe, and I'd like to believe, that they call me Mom because maybe there's little parts of their day where they see someone who loves them for who they are, not for who they should be. And so that's kind of why I think they would call me that.
From Lee Elementary, Carlos Gonzalez.
When you're a teacher, you become a jack of all trades. You need to keep them entertained, so you need to engage them. You need to come up with ways to keep their attention. We do the jazz chants, and the jazz chants are one way of many that you can have the English language learners develop the speech pattern of English along with movement. And they go like, what do you wear on your feet? Socks. What do you wear on your hands? Gloves. What do you wear on your feet? Socks. Shoes and socks. Shoes and socks. What do you wear when it's cold? Gloves. Where do you wear your gloves? On my hands. And it goes like that, and there's a lot of jazz chants that teach them how to interact. For example, there's another one that talks about saying I'm sorry when they do something that they shouldn't have, and it teaches them verbs in present and past. Oh, they love it. They laugh, they have fun, they sometimes beg me to do one of the old ones one more time. So.
Next we have Michelle Graham, Hoover Elementary.
Just because one might be confined to a wheelchair doesn't mean she can't reach for the sink and turn the water on for herself. It doesn't mean she can't grab a spoon and try to feed her. So I still place a lot of expectations on them, and I don't let any of their limitations define them. Finding their gift, I think it's in there, and I think the best part of this job is trying to find it, because it's not there, and you just have to keep working, and then you just find it. Whenever I see the parents seeing what their child is capable and they're starting to cry in an IEP meeting because they didn't think their child could read, that was like the most amazing meeting ever. I just think when they can see beyond their child's limitations or disabilities, and that we're really trying to get them to that point, I think that makes it worthwhile.
From Matsky Elementary, Tonya McQueen.
Before I was a teacher, I had my own business. I was a realtor. I've been teaching for 7 years. I was Franco for 1 year, and that's where I actually got my start teaching at Franco, and then I came to Matsky. Growing up, I was one of those students. My family was poor. We had food stamps, we had, some struggles. And so those are the babies that, really catch my heart, because they're the ones that, they are excited. They're excited about a new pencil. They're excited about some of the things that we're doing in class. Those are the ones I want to get their heart so that I can get them to learn. Because really, if they don't like being in class, then they're not going to learn from me. Really, I always thought I was going to be a language arts teacher. But with math and science, I have fun with it with the kids. When I tutor students, I always make sure that we get the nitty-gritty out of the way first, and then we do something fun afterwards, so they look forward to not only the lesson, but what comes after the lesson. So just making sure that they enjoy learning, because if they enjoy learning when they're with me in 5th grade, then I hope that they'll continue that the rest of their, school career.
Next, we have Debbie Santalucia from Yeager Elementary.
There was a little girl in our neighborhood that was a friend of my parents' daughter, and she had severe disabilities, and all the kids would make fun of her, and I think it just tugged at my heart, and I just would take care of her and try to teach her little things like how to bounce a ball or how to say her name or things like that. And I think I kind of felt like I had a little bit of a gift for it, because people would say, well, you can, you deal with Nancy, you're really good at it and stuff. And so I think from then on, that seed got planted. And then when I was in high school, I worked in a classroom and really enjoyed it. And I think from then on, I knew what I wanted to do. For years, they've been failing and feeling bad about themselves. And I think it's just so cool to make them feel like, hey, I am capable of doing this, that you've accomplished what you wanted to, that's the whole reason to be a teacher, is to make those kids feel confident, know that they can do what other children can do, and that they can be successful too.
Representing Lowry Elementary, Pamela Taylor.
I've always noticed when I was teaching in the classroom that there were always students who needed a little more attention and a little more help. And for some reason, I was always drawn to those kids. I always felt like the ones who got it, they usually got it, but the other kids who needed help, they didn't always talk about it. They didn't always raise their hands. They didn't always have the confidence. And so I kind of saw myself in some of those kids, because when I was a kid, when I was younger, I felt sometimes like I didn't have the confidence to speak up. I always did well in school, but I was really quiet, really shy. So I always, for some reason, wanted to help those kids who didn't have the confidence, who didn't, say much, but who were also having difficulty. I just felt like, that's what I was drawn to, just helping them succeed. And more than with reading or with the academic part, but with just the confidence and the helping them, with the relationship piece, and how to, helping them come out of their shell and be able to kind of shine a little bit.
From Alt Elementary, Rhonda Neilson.
I did have a favorite teacher in 3rd grade, and she was just funny. I think more than anything, she made me laugh. She was animated. She was just such a character. I am kind of a quiet, like shy person, but the more I get to know my kids, the more I get to know people, then I open up, and I'm even that way with my kids. I was singing on Friday to my kids. I was singing songs to them just randomly, and they laugh and they sing too, you know, just, I mean, they like it when I'm that way. They like it when I'm silly. I was singing about Don't Forget Your Homework, or I was singing, the day before that I was singing about polygons, and I was making up songs. I can't sing, it's not anything, it's just, you know, I just sing and out of being funny. My whole thing is just trying to reach them in whatever way I can. I have a little bag of tricks, but I'm always looking for something new, for sure.
Representing Sampson Elementary, Lisa Conser.
Ashley's 20, she's in college at McNeese, and I have Alyssa, she's 17, and she's special needs. I mean, I got into teaching late. I was 30, don't tell my age. Alyssa was going through treatment, and I just realized that I wanted to help kids, so that's why I started. My children are the spectrum. I have Alyssa, who's mentally always going to be 5, and I have Ashley, who was in the Horizons program, and she's athletic and artistic, and of course they're both beautiful. So I see them in my kids all the time. I see them in my kids who are hyper and can't sit still. That's Ashley. I see Alyssa in the kids that struggle, and that's why I think it's important for me to focus on their potential, because I want people to look at Alyssa the way I look at the kids in my room. I want them to know they have limitless potential.
Next we have Chantal Read from Read Elementary.
When the kids hear my name, they say, Miss Read, is this your school? And I usually say, yeah, it's my school. I tutored in high school for a little bit, and the teachers there thought I was one of the students. I kind of want to stand out so my students know, you're there, I'm here. So teach a lot of little tricks, class management skills. Hocus pocus, let's all focus, hocus pocus. And they start singing, let's all focus. Or everybody, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's time to go, go, go. And they start singing and they start moving around the room. Waddle, waddle, quack, quack, let's go. Waddle, waddle, quack, quack, let's go. Waddle, waddle, quack, quack. They start singing on. Waddle, waddle, quack, quack, let's go. We're almost there. Normally, I don't sing outside of what I'm trying to help them do. So it's different, and they love it. I love it, too. It feels good.
From A. Robinson Elementary, Jeanne Dekker.
I love what I do. I never thought it was something that I was like that passionate about. It wasn't something like I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. That wasn't the case at all. I didn't think I was very good in math. I had a confidence issue with math. It was hard. Math was hard when I was a kid. It's kind of, I think, one of the reasons I'm drawn to it now, because I think that I didn't understand why. I didn't understand the why to it. And that's something I want my kids to understand, is the why. Like, it's not just one way to solve a math problem. Math can be creative. So I think that part of my job is to make sure that they know that they can, and make sure that they want to be there. And that's a big part of it. I think a lot of them have, I kind of joke that it's like a math PTSD, where they've been traumatized by math in the past. Maybe it's just been so hard for them and they haven't been successful. So I'm going to do whatever it takes for them to be successful.
Next, we have Jessica Franco representing McPhee Elementary.
Growing up, school was really easy for me. But I remember there was one teacher that I had in 4th grade. We were the inclusion classroom, and I remember the student was struggling, and the teacher would do whatever she needed to do to do to help the student kind of catch up or do whatever else we needed. And I didn't even realize that that student had special needs until later on in life when I was looking back. And I just remember thinking how that student must have felt so good to be included and to be learning, and I wanted to be that teacher for someone. And that's what drew me to special ed. I wanted to help those kids that don't always have a voice and are struggling, and I want to make them love learning. You can just see their smile on their face, their eyes light up, just to be a part of their group and what they feel is like their family. They're so much more willing to take risks and to learn, and it makes my job awesome to see that.
From Wilburn Elementary, Samantha McBride.
Being the youngest of my family, I always had a positive role model. There was always somebody there for me. The world that we live in now, it's not the way that it was when I was growing up. The kids are seeing days that I never want to see. It just takes one person to change. It sounds crazy, but I'm not absent because I'm there for them all the time. I feel like when I'm not there, then I'm letting them down, that I haven't been absent at all. I feel like that I might lose them one day. Or, I don't know. At home, it might not be somebody who's in their corner. They might be told to go straight to their rooms. They don't have conversations. Nobody wants to know what they're doing and how their day is. Let them be heard. I have to be their voice.
Next, we have Alison Habita, Owens Elementary.
We love to have fun. One of my favorite things to do is my read alouds, and I get into character and use funny voices, which they love because they like seeing me kind of get out of that teacher role and into the character role. I use my cowgirl voice if it's today I read a book and I use different voices, the mom voice, the dad voice, and if they're sad, I'm sad, and happy, excited, just different emotions. I think they get into it. If they see me get into it, then they're gonna want to get into it. My dad was a jokester, kind of a prankster, loved to make people laugh. So when I make my little funny voices when I'm reading, I kind of feel like I'm bringing my dad out because he loved to be silly and funny and make people laugh. My dad passed away when I was in college, and he definitely made a huge impact in my life. I've always wanted to make him proud, and I hope I'm still doing that.
Our next honoree, Peggy Holmes, Wells Elementary.
I think a lot of times kids are told, do this, do that, do this, do that, or somebody does it for them, and they don't learn how to do things for themselves. I won't let them copy me. I make them come up with their own solution, and sometimes I'll just tear up my stuff that I've shown them. They get really upset when they see that happen, but I'd rather them do their own. Every time the kids paint or make a decision, they're developing their decision-making processes, and they're learning how to think, and I think that's what it really does. It's great to be creative and to have something made at the end, but to have a story behind it and to think it through and make those decisions. I want them to be thinkers. I want them to look at their work and evaluate it and analyze it and go back and change something to make it better and do it on their own terms. And I think that translates into life. And you can ask them, what does Mrs. Holmes want you to be? And they'll tell you she wants you to be a thinker.
From Bain Elementary, Cynthia Chavez.
I can motivate children. I started back when I was in church. My dad is also a pastor, so I would lead the Sunday school lesson with the children. And I love to sing. I love to chant. They love it, and we have fun with it. I try to incorporate all the latest dances, the things that they are doing now. I don't know how to do it well, but I go in there and, do a little Millie Rock. And, Miss Ivy, you're not doing that right. Well, okay, well, show me. Okay. Dun 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 And the kids just love it, you know. How much is a penny? How much is a nickel? How much is a dime? How much is a quarter? A penny is 1, a nickel is 5, a dime is 10, and a quarter's 25. That's how I have the kids to remember the values of money. Any particular subject or area, I have a song or a chant for.
Next, we have Ashley Gallardo from Gleason Elementary.
I love them. My kids, they mean the world to me. Every year, when they have that aha moment and they're like, oh my gosh, I understand what you're saying, or when you're reading a book and that child tells you at the beginning of the year, I hate reading. And you have parents that come to you at the end of the year and tell you, thank you for teaching my child how to read, because now I can't get them to put a book down. That's my favorite part of teaching. But my classes, there's always something about my kids that just brings a smile to my face, and it's every single one of them, because they all have their own light within. But when you are able to tap into that and get them to perform and believe in themselves, oh, that's the best. That's the best.
Representing Hancock Elementary, Christine Berry.
I struggled with math when I was younger. I was that quiet kid that liked to sit in the corner and be left alone. And so because I was a good kid, no one bothered me because I was a good kid. But I also was getting lost in the crack because they didn't come and check on me, because I was not causing any problems. So I make sure I focus on those quiet ones too. I let them know that I'm not gonna let them just sit back and not get involved. I try to help them be able to communicate in front of the class, because it's a struggle for me, and it's still a struggle for me, and that's what I tell them all the time. I said, Ms. Berry has a hard time talking in front of people right now, still to this day. So then I try to make sure that when they leave me, I can at least give them a voice to where they're not hiding anymore, because I was the one that was hiding. Lord, if I made it through the day without getting caught and no one asked me anything, then that was a good day for me. But then I know that wasn't good, so that's why I encourage my kids to be more vocal, communicate, socialize with each other.
Next, we have Dulce Gonzalez from M. Robinson Elementary.
It breaks my heart to see when children are struggling. Mommy doesn't have enough money for my pictures. We talk about how, we take plenty of pictures at school, and, Miss Gonzalez can always print out a picture and, send it to Mommy if you need to have a memento of what we did in kindergarten. It breaks my heart because every child deserves to have everything that they want. But I think that in teaching them that everything is possible and pushing them, they can accomplish anything, that there are no limits to their capacity. We are sort of allowing them and building them up so that one day they don't have to say no to their children, or that they don't have to say no or think twice about, can I spend on something, or, I want this pair of shoes, or I want, this type of education, or instead of going to, Houston Community College, I want to go to a four-year university. I think that in educating them and building them, in building their self-esteem, we are, in a sense, helping them out.
From Swinky Elementary, Diane Prestridge.
I just try to make it approachable for them. Okay, I just want it to be fun for them. So I try and make it real for them. I try and connect it to their lives. So it's not math, it's life. They may have had some difficulty in the past, but they haven't been in my room before, and they haven't been with me before, and they just haven't seen the way that we can do things in here. I'll read the word problem to them, and then a lot of times I'll go, I know it sounds like wah, 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 wah. And so then we just break it down into smaller segments to what it means, and then I'll get kids to come up from the class, and I'll give them a part in the story, and they just act out what's happening in the story. They're not ever gonna remember the worksheets that we do. And they may not remember the specific skills that they've learned in my class, but they'll use them in their life. And I hope that they'll remember how much I cared for them.
Next, we have Michelle Ray, Emmett Elementary.
It's pretty high energy. I'm the teacher that sings all the time, and we have chants for everything in there. Well, we have like our morning song that we do every day. Do you want me to do the whole? Okay, so we do This Is the Way. Hey, we start the day. Hey, to get the knowledge. Hey, to go to college. Hey, but don't stop there. Hey, go anywhere. Hey, this is the way. Hey, we start the day. Hey, and then we all say good morning. I've noticed my students, they really love routine of things. Like if we forget to do it for some reason, they're like, wait, we haven't done our morning song yet. We just do like, I have 7, they want 9. Do I have enough? No, go next door and borrow. Cross me out, make me smaller, put a 1 by my side. And they'll usually, then I'll see them at their test, they're like, do I have enough? No, go next door and borrow.
Our next honoree is Brenda Callas, Keith Elementary.
I love my children that have autism. They brighten my day. They make me smile because they're special and they're unique in just so many ways. I love the kids that have behavior problems because I want to jump in firsthand and be there for them. And there have been times, I've been hit, I've been bit, I've been kicked, I've been called ugly names by kids that are in 2nd grade, and it breaks my heart. But I also know, and I tell them all the time, I'm not giving up on you. I am not going to give up on you. You can be mad at me, you can say you hate me, you can call me ugly names, you can hit, but I love you and I'm not giving up. Understand that they are human and that children with special needs, they have feelings. They are the most caring children, the most lovable children, and all they want to do is be like everyone else. And in my eyes, they are like everyone else.
From Post Elementary, Catherine Grinwelge.
I was in high school when I decided I wanted to be a teacher. I did a preschool program where we did it out of Jersey Village High School 3 days a week, and I just fell in love with the 3, 4, and 5-year-olds that I was working with. Most of them come in hating math, and it is my goal by the end of the year to at least open their mind to the fact that they do love math and that they can do it. That's kind of a conception that they come in, oh, math is the worst, I stink at math. But by the end of the year, I could say that at least 90% of my students are like, math is my favorite. Math was my favorite. I was not a big reader in school, still not a big reader. I tell my students, it's not something I enjoy doing in school, but I had to do it to get where I am, and you're gonna have to do the same thing. But math has been that thing that's always stuck with me, and that's why I chose a career teaching math. I do not think that there is a student in my classroom that does not have a mathematical brain and that can't grow and learn something new from being in my class.
Next, we have Noel Sharon from Pope Elementary.
I struggled in school. I struggled a lot. I had a lot of learning disabilities growing up, which we didn't discover until junior high. I also had attention deficit disorder, which was not discovered until junior high. So all of my elementary school teachers would just say, Noelle could do so much if she just tried harder. I had a teacher once take my paper and throw it away and call it garbage. And because I think she thought she was adding that fancy word onto it, it made it not okay. But I remember that at the age of 44. I want them to go off into the world one day, and I want them to look back, and I want them to think I had the most loving and caring and nurturing environment. I want them to look back on their years with me and at Pope as some of the best times of their lives. They had these great teachers, that the teachers loved them, that we cared for them, and we thought they were important.
Representing Millsap Elementary, Crystal Feltz.
I had a 5th grade science teacher, Mrs. Sandman. Everything was hands-on, experiments, learning like that. It wasn't always so much textbook, paper, pencil. And my favorite project that she let us do is we were learning about the rainforest. And we were able to do either a write-up, a song, I think an act or something like that. And we partnered up, and my friend and I chose a song, a rap song about the rainforest. We presented it in front of the class, and she did this award thing, announced us on the announcements, and then after the pledge one day, she let us rap the song on the announcements, and it was so great. I actually sing random songs all the time, and I know that it's built into the curriculum, but I try to give them like beats or tunes or things like that so that the students always remember them. Inherited traits are what I have. I get it from my mom and I get it from my dad. And then all the kids are like, word.
Next, we have Carrie Wheedle, Moore Elementary.
I didn't see myself as a teacher when I was in college. I wanted to be rich and I wanted to be in fashion, which is kind of weird because I'm not even that fashionable. But I'll be honest, in the beginning it was a little bit, sometimes you blame other things, you blame the students, you blame outside things. And then finally when I started to look at myself and say, when there's a problem, what can I do to change that? How can I make this different? How can I fix this problem? That's when I really started to see improvements in my career. I'm pretty good at getting to know my kids and talking to them, and whether it's right when they come in or at lunch or recess or during class, just asking them how things are going at home. You know, I try to find out if they have siblings, ask about how their parents or their brothers and sisters are doing. You know, they think I'm fun. They will ask me to race them at recess and tell jokes and make silly faces. I hope that they will learn that working hard is a good thing and that school and learning can be fun, and love to read and write and just learning in general.
From Walker Elementary, Natalia Garcia.
We don't define them by their disabilities, we define them by their talents and how they learn. I am more oriented to the emotions and the feelings of my kids. I love to build confidence in them, and that's my goal. That's what I'm working in my classes right now. And I have seen the progress. I have seen the improvement in academics when they build that confidence. When they start, they feel confused and afraid because they know it's hard for them. I start breaking those fears. I like to joke, I like to make them move, I like to make them tell me about their lives. I like to share things with them to make them feel like they are not walking in my classroom to somebody who doesn't know them. And I get the luxury of getting to know them too. Then by the time they loosen up, I am able to get in and I am able to teach them.
Representing Holmesley Elementary, Monica Roebuck.
To be honest with you, it's what all I've ever known since I was little. I remember going to school before summer vacation asking my teachers for worksheets because I knew for the summertime, this sounds so cheesy, but for the summertime I was going to get together with the neighborhood kids and we were going to play school. And I, of course, was going to be the teacher, and I wanted to grade the papers. That was something I was looking forward to doing, was grading their papers. I don't have any kids of my own, so I do feel like each of them plays a special role in taking a little piece of my heart. They say Mom, and they real quickly stop what they're doing, and they say, "Oh, I'm Miss Roebuck." I guess it just makes me feel like they trust me enough to feel like, I've made them feel that sorry. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing.
From Rennell Elementary, Edith Patel.
After high school, I went on to dance in college and professionally with the NBA and the NFL. Started teaching dance. I taught in middle school and in high school. But once I started, I was gonna get married, have a family. Just the time commitment for drill team was a lot with weekends and, year-round. So I made a big jump to elementary. Their attention span is usually, I say, about a minute or two for their age. So I use all the sides of my room. I do a lot of movement. I do a lot of music. For example, if I see they're getting a little fidgety, I'll just do like silent stretches. So as long as they're quiet, it's kind of like follow the leader. They'll come up and I'll just do like random dance moves and they're doing it. And we're quiet, but it gets them up and moving before we move on to the next thing. Do the robot or, different little things, but without any sound. And it was amazing to see them, how much fun they had.
and they were quiet, and then they were, refreshed and ready to start on the next thing.
Next, we have Maria Andrea Cobo representing Sheridan Elementary.
There's a connection between us because I was a bilingual kid and I grew up in a bilingual classroom or went to school in a bilingual classroom. And so our classroom is just full of love. We care about each other and they know that I come from a place that understands where they're coming from because I was that kid and we talk about that all the time. It's hard to try to fit in when you know you're different. And so it's like I feel like I lived like two worlds in a way. Like I had my home life, which was like Spanish, and my parents are like trying to be Colombian, but we're in America. And then I have, school, and it's like English, and I'm like, I'm just trying to keep up. So I play that into my classroom in the way that I'm like, Spanish is so important and I feel like you need to use it, respect it, it ties back to your culture, but let me show you what English can do for your life and the opportunities that it can give you.
From Woodard Elementary, summer camp.
I actually grew up in a small town in East Texas, and my dad's a country boy, my mom's a city girl, and they met in the little town that I grew up in, and I grew up through that system and then graduated from Cypher High School. We ended up moving back to Houston, and I went to Sam Houston State for my undergrad in elementary education, and I went back for my master's in reading instruction. I committed myself a long time ago to be a lifelong learner. I lost my mom when I was 19 to cancer, and she growing up, both my parents instilled they instilled in me the importance of education. I'm actually a first-generation college graduate in my family. I want to be the best version of myself that I can be because I'm affecting other people. And I think that finding my passion and finding what I love, I think is going to do nothing but help the lives of my kids.
From Feast Elementary, Elaine Winger.
My favorite teacher, the one that I probably became a teacher because of, was my high school biology teacher. She gave me the love of science, and I've pretty much taught science my entire career. In my science class, I try to do as many investigations as possible. I think the kids really enjoy the hands-on. I can talk and talk and talk. They don't remember those things. They remember the experiments or the things that we did. We do a density column where things will sink or float and kind of become suspended between the layers, and it's something they can do at home too. We always have animals in our class that we check out from the Science Resource Center. We get something different every 2 weeks. This year when the lunar eclipse happened, I encouraged my students to go look out in the evening sky and bring back something that they remembered of it, took pictures, they looked up stuff on the internet, and then when they got back, we looked up when the next one was going to be, and it's going to be in 5 years on my birthday. And so I hope that when they watch the next one that they remember me, and maybe they'll even bring me a present.
Representing Holbrook Elementary, Melissa Parker.
I was the neighborhood babysitter. The kids just always wanted to come to my door, ask my mom if I could play. And here I am, 5, 6 years older than everybody. And, something had to happen with kids. I think I listened. I think, we played, but I was there. They wanted to sit down, they wanted to talk, they wanted to hold my hand and just be there. Some of my kids come with way more baggage than they should. And some days that's just what they need, to be supportive, to find the little triumphs and celebrate those, to make kind of the kids who, went from a 20 on the first test to a 60. Might not be passing, but it's a huge improvement, and I want to make that feel like an A. They don't need you to teach them to add or subtract. They just need you to listen, to just be there, give them a hug, and just know that they can come to you.
From Postma Elementary, Terry Lynn.
I had such great experiences growing up in Cy-Fair that I knew that I wanted to come back and kind of impact students in the same way. I grew up and I went to Wilburn, and I remember, things like the Name That Book contest, and I'm going to the library every week. And so it's really cool to be able to do that with my kids now. My students go every week on Wednesdays and, have those story time and pick out a new book and that kind of thing. It's really cool. I want to make them love learning. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but I want them to want to keep learning. The coolest thing is today we were walking down the hallway and they're like, you know why I love school, Miss Lynn? I don't know why. I love school because we get to learn new things, and we're doing a nonfiction unit, so it's really cool. It's really fun that they're giving me all their fun facts of the day, and we're coming up with things. I'm learning things every day, squids have blue blood and, different facts like that they just really, they're super excited and pumped about it, and I want them to want to keep being super excited and pumped about learning and reading and coming up with, new ideas and that kind of thing.
Next is Christy Capers, Wilson Elementary.
My grandfather was a principal. I think that kind of got me started when I was a little girl. And I have cousins that are also in the teaching position, so I think it was kind of only natural. So I wanted to be in that position, to be able to help kids and to make a difference the way that my role models, my family members had. I do see children that try to copy my handwriting because they think I have neat handwriting, so they try to copy my handwriting and they say that they want to be just like me. It makes me feel happy because I don't often see myself as someone who people would look up to. So for someone to want to be able to do something that I'm doing because I've inspired them, that's really special.
From Metcalf Elementary, Alma Cardoso.
I graduated high school. I kind of, growing up, had the idea I wanted to be a teacher, but then you hear they don't get paid enough, they take home work, and I wanted the weekends for myself. So that was out of the picture. I went in for interior design, but then in that time when I was in college, I started working at a middle school, and I just like building those relationships with the kids, especially those at-risk students. I knew I wanted to be in Cy-Fair because I graduated from Cy-Fair. I went elementary, middle school, high school, and I knew I wanted to come back. Sometimes my kids come in and they don't think they'll do much with their life because they see their parents working hard and they think they're going to be doing the same thing. I'm just going to go and work. But I teach my kids, no, you work hard now so you can have whatever you want later. I want to thank my parents because they taught me how to work hard, be patient, always serve others, and I love you guys and thank you for everything you've done for me.
Next we have Jesus Esparza, Leader Elementary.
I think it's very important to celebrate success. I have a lot of kids who come to me at the beginning of the year having a preconceived notion that they're not math people or that they're not going to be successful in math. And I always related to that because I was the same way when I was younger. I never really enjoyed math and I wasn't very successful at it. And it's just really ironic because when I decided to be a teacher, I wanted to be a reading teacher, but the only thing that was available were math teaching positions. And my first year teaching math, I completely changed my mindset about it. And I try and use my experience to help change their mindset about it too. At the end of the year, it's my favorite part whenever students write me notes and say things like, I used to be scared or I used to be bad at this, but now you helped me out and thank you because now I'm good at math.
From Horn Elementary, Joel Luna.
When they first come into my classroom, I try to make them feel welcome, like if they're at home, because sometimes they come very nervous, they don't know me, and I don't know them, but I feel that many kids don't want to express themselves because they are afraid of their accent, they are afraid of not saying the correct things. I passed through the same situation as the kids. When I was a kid, I also learned English like them, so I learned English when I was in high school. So when I came here to the United States, I didn't speak any English. So I was a new arrival. None of my classmates spoke Spanish, so I had difficulties learning the language, but I know what it feels. Family is extremely important for my kids, so I try to always have that into the classroom, or have the kids share about their families, have their, what are some things that they do at home, and bring that into the classroom. But I start building academics through that.
From Farney Elementary, Charla Carey.
Music has the spiritual aspect, that when you teach music or the arts, you're reaching the soul, not just the mind. And if you reach the soul, then our cultures can relate with one another. Last year, I submitted for a grant and received 17 ukuleles and started a program. As a child, I really loved the instrument. My mother and I used to glue green stamps into books, and that's how I got my first ukulele. Oh, we all strum together, yes. And of course, I give each student individual attention if they're having trouble, and then I let them help each other, especially with the tuning. If we're making music, we cannot be fighting. If we are collaborating together with all different kinds of beliefs, your goal is making a beautiful sound. So music is the key, I think, to a successful and happy, joy-filled life.
From Adam Elementary, Adriana Saucedo.
I was born in Mexico, and we moved to California when I was about 3 years old. And ever since I was little, growing up over there, I just wanted to be a teacher. My parents were never able to attend any of the events, not so much by choice, but because they had to work. But I know at the same time they might have been seen as those parents that don't attend things. All parents care. My mom grew up in a home where she wasn't able to go to school. She was one of the oldest, so she had to start working right away, so she was working at 12 years old. My dad, kind of the same thing. He grew up in a farm, and he's been working since he was 6 years old. We have a lot of relatives, and not a lot of them go to college or get an education because they start working. And a lot of the times in the Hispanic culture, that's sometimes the priority, is like you get a job so you can take care of your family. And it's not so much a negative thing, it's kind of what we were brought up to think. But sometimes it is kind of seen as, oh, those parents never show up or they never come. And it's like sometimes they just can't. And I think as teachers, we have to be understanding of that.
From Burks Elementary, Kristen Smith.
Kindergarten is so important. It's just the foundation of learning. It's where they have that first experience into school. And so we are giving them all of those tools that they need to be better humans and to get along with others. And you might have a boss or someone in your circle who you don't get along with, but here's how to accept no, here's how to disagree appropriately, here's how to give compliments to them and things like that. If everyone in the world came to my kindergarten class, that's a strong thing to say, that there would be more kindness, but that's something that I really try and promote. I've got a clock in my room that has a sign around it that says it's time to be kind, because it's always time to be kind. So just really giving them what they need to survive in society.
From Andre Elementary, Lache Fleming.
A lot of people refer to PE as the hop, jump, skip department. I heard it a lot in college, but it's so much more, because yes, you are teaching a skill set, but you're teaching a lot of social skills, a lot of character traits. For instance, I had a 5th grade group one year, and they were classified as a really rough group by the whole school. They were just rough attitudes, behaviors. But at one point I had got just upset with them because it was like 6 teachers in 30 minutes. Can you talk to this student? Can you talk to this student? Can you talk to this student? I was like, okay, we're gonna call a meeting. And we just had an open powwow. A week later, one of the young girls came back and she was like, Coach Fleming, you know, I heard you saying that we need to try to select our friends wisely, and a real friend is going to be there to help you out, not tear you down, and they're going to try to keep us on the right path. I just want you to know I heard you and I'm listening. Every year she has been back to say, Coach, I'm still listening. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, but just building those relationships, I think, is what's most important.
Representing Franco Elementary, Kirsten Seacrest.
I eat lunch with students 3 to 4 times a week. They sign up on a little calendar and they come in and we sit at the table together and we eat and we just talk and we get to know each other and we just enjoy that 30 minutes. Usually they're interested in what I'm eating. I was eating a turkey burger the other day and that like blew their mind. They thought it was a burger with turkey on it. So I explained to them what that looks like it's just fried turkey. They learn about each other's life, so like things that they don't know about or they haven't been and they haven't experienced. And later on in writing, we can come back to them like, oh, remember that story you told me in lunch? Hey, let's use that here. Let's write about that. When it helps them to further their academics when they're not even thinking about academics. I don't really remember teachers sitting and talking to us in school and like laughing and getting to know us. I just don't remember genuine conversations like that. It was, here's the lesson, here's the activity, now go do this. You're opening yourself up. They want to know everything about me. They want my dog to come to school. They want to know when my husband's coming to school. Like they feel a part of my life as much as I feel a part of their life.
Next, we have Amber Denton representing Bang Elementary.
I'm a product of Cy-Fair schools, so I grew up in the district, and I had a lot of really good teachers in my life that really were positive role models for me, and I wanted to do everything that I could to help those that were less fortunate than myself. I used to volunteer in special education classes when I was young, and I was always a big fighter for inclusion. I was blessed with a daughter that has special needs. And I think that having those students in my classroom have given me the fight and determination to make sure that every student, everyone gets the appropriate education that they need in a place where they're loved, in a place where they're comfortable. I want to give them the classroom that I want my daughter and my son to have.
From Hemingway Elementary, Wendy Garza.
I actually went to school to be a librarian. I decided to become certified and I made the jump and I moved to South Korea to teach middle school at a boarding school over there. I'm Korean, so it wasn't too far of a jump for me, the thought of like just moving to a foreign country. I had never been to Korea prior to moving there. The school I think was like $40,000 a year, so they were really well off. I taught in Korea up until August and I got hired at Hemingway about 3 or 4 weeks later. I have kids that can't afford school supplies, they can't afford clothes or dinner. They can very easily tell you like, oh, you know, my mom had to go to the Walmart this morning because we didn't have clothes at home. Or I don't have school supplies because my mom left it in her car and she doesn't know where her car is anymore. I mean, no matter what happens at home, I always tell the kids, when you're in Miss Garza's class, you know, we'll figure it out. You need a notebook, I'll get you a notebook. You need a backpack, okay, I'll go find you a backpack. I think that I just kind of roll with it, you know, whatever they need, we'll figure it out.
From Kirk Elementary, Ellen Jablonski.
Any person you ask, you can ask them their least favorite teacher and they'll tell you exactly the day, the moment that that teacher said something negative to them and they don't forget. My 4th grade teacher just flat out told me, you're good at writing. I think even if I really wasn't at that time, I think I became good at writing because she told me that I was. When you tell a student that they have a talent in an area, they want that to be true, even if they don't believe it first for themselves. So they'll do what they can to prove you right. Writing is a hard thing, especially when you're little, when you're 7 or 8. And so I think that when they become good at the thing that they thought was so hard, they really get a kind of a boost of confidence in themselves. And they feel like they can do hard things. And a lot of times they really don't believe in themselves with writing. They think it's too hard. Maybe they've been told before that they're not good at it. And so when they become good at it, I think that it can have a lasting impact.
Representing Danish Elementary, Terry Richter.
I teach SGRI, which is small group reading intervention for first graders who are struggling with reading. And I also have taught dyslexia. The different things that they love to do, whether it be write with special pens, colored pens, smelly pens, write with shaving cream, we'll write in sand, or I have gel boards that we'll write with. They can read with little flashlights. My students amaze me. They inspire me. I see them come from struggling and behind all their peers to not only catching up, but going beyond. I had one little girl, she graduated when they don't need to come see me anymore. She's reading on level, and she made a little video on Seesaw for her mom, and she said, I graduated from Miss Richter's reading group today because I'm a very good reader. I am so special. I'm the best. I'm the most special there is. And she was so cute. And she was so excited that day.
Our next honoree, Ann Brown, Emory Elementary.
Before I was a teacher, I was the Chief Financial Officer and Human Resources for the State of Wyoming Livestock Board. When we first moved down, my son was in 5th grade, so I just stayed home helping them with the transition. My son is on the autism spectrum disorder. I put in with CFISD as a para and as a substitute, and the teacher that I worked with that first year really encouraged me to go through an alternative certification program with Region 4 to become a teacher. Every time these kids come in, that's my son now too, and I am going to advocate for him the same way I advocated for my son. He's in general ed classes now with in-class support. He's working at grade level, which he'd never done before we came to Texas. So what I went through, the challenges I still go through with him, that's what I pour into my kids.
Next, Mary Kate Moore, Warner Elementary.
My sister and I would always play school, and we would just stay up hours on end playing school. By the time that it was my first experience in the classroom in college, it was like a dream come true. I was blessed because my sister and I got to play school together whenever we were little, and then whenever I did my student teaching, I actually did it at her elementary school, and so we taught next door to each other, so it was really like we were still playing school together. I always tell my students too, like at the very, very beginning of the year, we start as a classroom, but by the end of the year, we finish as a family. In my classroom, I teach special ed, and I also have even students that are English language learners that maybe this is their first year in Texas or in Houston, and everything is so new. And so a lot of what I do is making sure that those students have buddies and have great friends to look up to and to kind of watch after them to make sure that they are welcomed.
And our final honoree, representing Tips Elementary, Herlinda Kennedy.
At the beginning of the school year is crazy. They cry, they want their mom, they don't know how to share, they don't know how to line up. You ask them to make a line and it looks like all the squiggly worms, and most of them, they don't even know their names because they used to call them baby or princess or whatever at their house. So when you call them by their name, they don't even know you're calling them. So you have to start like, okay, your name is Pedro, look at me. When I say Pedro, you have to look at me. So that's a cool part. In the second semester of the year, everything gets better, you know? They already know the routine, they know how to follow the line, they know how to sit down and stay still for a story and all those things. I think kindergarten and first grade teachers should give us flowers because we do such a great job with having them ready for kinder or first grade in pre-K.
Please welcome CFISD Board President, Dr. John Ogletree.
Hey, let's applaud and celebrate all these honorees tonight. There were some beautiful stories, and I'm telling you, we've seen the best tonight. Excellence always distinguishes itself, no matter what field, whether it's in automobiles, restaurants, hotels. It's same is true in education, and you have distinguished yourself this year, and our children are made the better for it. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your time. Thank you for even the money you spend on our kids. God bless all of you.
And one more warm welcome for CFISD's Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Henry.
That's about as good an hour as you can spend, isn't it? Well, what inspirational stories. And, I think about people and some of these guys up here around my age, and I think about sports heroes like Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, even Roger Staubach or Terry Bradshaw. I don't want to leave. I got to come up with a Houston Oiler. Earl Campbell. And you think about those stars, and you think about the joy they brought you for a few minutes on Sunday afternoon or watching a ball game, but they really don't change people's lives. The real heroes of this world you just met in front of you, they have a lasting impact, not a momentary impact on people. And I can remember the teachers that had such a positive impact on my life, and the reason I'm here today is because of great parents and outstanding teachers. So teachers, I applaud you. A couple of people I want to thank this evening, the CFISD Cinema team that put all of these together, and Berry Center staff who ran them. Would y'all stand? They're kind of hard to see in here. Up here, go ahead and turn on the house lights if you don't mind. And we appreciate them so much. And we're also honored today to have one of our school namesakes with us, Jim and Pam Wells up here. Thank you for being here. You can see them up on the front row. Now, I want us to finish this evening on a good note. I know the Rockets are about to tip off, and Don Ryan is timing me up here, and my evaluation is going down with every word that I speak. But I want to do this. I want to treat our teachers like we do sports heroes. So I want all of our teachers to turn around and look and find the people that are here to support you. So teachers, stand. And then I want you to act like these teachers are J.J. Watt or James Harden. And let's give them a cheer. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. This concludes our program. God bless you and safe travels.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a safe drive home, and to all, a good night.